There are two things I'd like you to do before we start editing or customizing this template. The first is to save it under a new name in a new folder, and the second is to set up some autosave preferences. Now we've already saved it under a new name. We did that very early in the process. But now I want to talk about a workflow that you'll use for basically any template that you work with. So to do that, go to File, go to Save As again, and create a new folder someplace. Now I'm going to create a folder inside the project folder location of this project, which is not necessarily what you want to do, but for convenience sake I'm going to do it for this lesson. So I'm going to go back to the desktop here, go to that folder there, go to the business slide folder where I've got these project files right there, and I'm going to make a new folder here. But you probably want to put a folder someplace else besides this original folder here, and put it someplace where you can store all the assets for your template there as well. But this is where our assets are located for this one, so I'm going to keep it here. So I'm going to make a new folder here in Windows by right-clicking and saying New. On Mac it's a little different, but very similar. I'm going to call this one Business Slide Template Edited. That's the name of the folder. Open that up. And I'll name the file very much the same thing. I'll just go down here. I'll change this to Edited. And that's the project name we're going to work on as we go through this course. Now there's one more thing I want you to do, and that is to change the autosave preferences. After Effects, by default, saves your project as an autosave file once every few minutes and saves some number of instances of those autosave files. And that's a great thing, because if things go really bad, you can always go back to one of those autosaves and kind of start over from just a few minutes before things went bad. But what I want you to do is change those preferences. And here's how you do that. In Windows, you go to Edit, Preferences, and on a Mac you go to After Effects Preferences. Then you can choose down here Autosave. Now if you don't choose Autosave, you choose something else, you can always go to the Autosave tab, because these guys are lined up on the left hand side like that. But there's the Autosave tab, and here are the options. How often do you save? Well, the default is every 20 minutes, and the number of versions is 5. I want you to change this because we're working in templates, and when you work in templates you typically work pretty quickly because you're just dragging in new things, and so you want to maybe autosave more frequently just to make it a little bit easier if things go bad, if you happen to lose your project or the power goes out or something like that. So change every 20 minutes, let's say every 10 minutes. So just click on it to highlight it and change it to 10 and click away. And change the number of versions, let's say to 10 as well. Now you have 10 different versions that you can always go back to depending on how far back you want to go. Then we have the location of the autosave folder as next to project. That means in the original folder where the project is located. And I think that's fine because you probably aren't going to have things go so badly that you need to put it on another hard drive or something like that. So I'm going to accept the default here as next to location, and then click OK. And let's just check and see how that works. I'm going to go to my included files now. Go to Business Slide 1.2 and Project Files. There's the old autosave folder, but this is the new template edited folder I just made. And inside there is the edited file, and if I wait a few minutes I'm going to get that folder showing up in here called autosave inside that folder. That's how it's going to work. So bottom line, when you're working on a template, I think it's a good idea to save your project under a new name in a new location, and also to change the autosave preferences so that it saves more frequently and in more instances.